Abusian breaking news to Johnny say a year officially a year Council of State determine a year Prima Facie case against Justice Torkono and I'm so ama penning officially what the letter about wanting I suspend them say my men on coffee. 2. Your friend lawyer Martin Pebun or Cherimo say injunction process a mammy the court file Supreme Court no the Supreme Court will grant them slower process or can Supreme Court more fair and Supreme Court able overturning sir a injunction process because already a Prima Facie case are determined by a Council of State and moreover the president has suspended her officially. So on continue if you breaking news on the American God bless you.
Saki Torkono. The president has consequently established a committee in compliance with Article 1466 of the Constitution and in consultation with the Council of State with the following composition to inquire into the petitions which have been referred to them. So in terms of the membership of this particular committee, 1 is Justice Gabriel Scott Palmine, who is a justice of the Supreme Court, who will be acting as chairperson of this committee. Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Esiedu is also a justice of the Supreme Court. Then there is Daniel Yao Domelevo, you all know him, a former Auditor General here in Ghana, and Major Flora Bazwanura Dalugu of the Ghana Armed Forces, and Professor James Sefa Jisa, an associate professor at the University of Ghana. So pursuant to Article 14610 of the Constitution, in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, the President has by a warrant suspended the Chief Justice with immediate effect pending the outcome of the committee's proceedings. And this statement is signed by Felix Kwatio Fosu, the spokesperson to the President and Minister in charge of Government Communications.
And we see a number of things immediately detailed in this statement that's come from the President. One having to do with the provisions on the processes in removing the Chief Justice. The President has exercised that right to suspend the Chief Justice pending investigations by this 5-member committee. Now we've seen the composition of the committee as well, and has been rightly articulated in the Constitution. 2 members from the Supreme Court, and then 3 others who are not lawyers as well and are not members of the Council of State, all rightfully listed. Per what we're seeing, the supposition is that Justice Gabriel Palmine will chair this particular committee, which will be looking into the matters in these 3 petitions which have gone before the President, and we now have a determination that there's a prima facie case that's been brought against it. I want to just, from the start, again, perhaps walk viewers through where we've come from up until this point, that a prima facie determination has come through from the President, and then we'll be crisscrossing different parts of the country as well, and then perhaps lean into the arguments that have been made to and fro as to really what happens from here on in. And so, viewers, stay with us as we try and start the entire process again from the 25th of March. That's where Felix Kwatio Fosu released that statement detailing that 3 petitions had been submitted to the President, and the President has forwarded same to the Council of State pending consultations with them for a determination as to whether or not a prima facie case can be brought against the Chief Justice, or whether or not she has a case to answer. The essence of that entire Latin word prima facie is whether or not the Chief Justice, per these 3 petitions, had a case to answer involving these 3 petitions. And from there, we know that suits were filed against the ongoing processes, questioning whether or not the President had afforded the Chief Justice the opportunity to be heard. In fact, on that 27th, there were 2 suits we know which were filed in relation to this particular matter. And on that same day, we saw the Chief Justice writing to the President asking for copies of the petition, upon which she was expected to be given a right of fair hearing, an argument she made quite succinctly in that write-up to the President. On the following day, the 28th, the President wrote back to the Chief Justice, including the 3 petitions, while expressing disappointment. Is worthy of note that the letter from the Chief Justice on the 27th had leaked to the media even before it got to his quarters, but nonetheless wrote back to her and gave her 10 days upon which she was supposed to respond to these 3 petitions. And then we know as well that while the Chief Justice was writing to the President in relation to her official responses, the suits which were seeking to injunct the entire process were also expected to be tabled before the Supreme Court. On the first day where the injunction applications were expected to be heard, on the 9th of April, the suits were not heard because the Attorney General had written to the Supreme Court asking that they be granted some leave because there was a seminar of some sort which was happening between state attorneys. Godfred Dame Joseph,
he expressed serious concerns about the fact that he does not understand why such a matter that is being dealt of this nature, especially because he says there's a deputy attorney general who he makes the argument it's not a state attorney, so one of them could have been dispatched to handle that particular case. And you recall again that it was at that engagement that I had with him that he had made a point that as far as he's concerned, he thinks that the president cannot proceed with a consultation with the Council of State
pending suits.
Because of the pending suits that are outstanding. Until those ones are dealt with, as far as he was concerned, the case has to be on hold. The consultations have to be suspended for the matter to be dealt with.
But that did not stop the Chief Justice, we understand, in subsequent days in submitting her official response to the president as well. And so after that happened, we proceeded to the 16th, which was the next agenda date for that particular suit, seeking to injunct the ongoing process which has reached this particular stage where a committee, a 5-member committee, has been formed. On that day as well, we know that they could not sit because a justice expected to be on the panel was not present.
In fact, it was the same day that we heard for the first time from the Attorney General speaking directly to this process. Now, the Attorney General takes a different view to what Godfred Yabuadami had taken. Dr. Dominic Ayine told us that as far as he's concerned, the president's role, interaction with the Council of State in terms of determining whether on face value there's a case that a committee ought to be set up to look into, is a constitutional duty.
Right.
And he says nothing enables any court to interfere with the president exercising that constitutional duty. And so when we asked him directly what he makes of the position that had been advanced by Godfred Dame, he made the point that as far as he's concerned, nothing stops the president from undertaking that consultation. We know that they are supposed to go back to court on May 6th, but we know that the president has gone ahead to exercise the constitutional duty. As his Attorney General had indicated, he was not going to be stopped by any court, or no law allows any court to stop him from doing so, which is exactly what the president has done today.
And you're raising already the first of many questions which Ghanaians are going to be asking. What happens to that May 6th sitting where the injunction application was supposed to be heard, and whether or not the court was going to be able to injunct what the Attorney General described as a constitutionally mandated process which required the president to go through. Let's try right now and get responses quickly from Martin Pebu, who's a private legal practitioner, on the latest that we're getting from the quarters of the president. Counsel, appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon. The latest coming from the quarters of the president, first ever, we're having a Chief Justice suspended pending a determination of this 5-member committee, whether or not she will stay in office. Are you surprised by how all of this has played out up until this point?
I'll say yes and no. Surprised to a certain extent, but also not surprised. So let's say the truth of the matter is that as soon as some of the information surrounding this case leaked on social media, and looking at that, then it began to show that, hey, something like this could happen today, because some of the rules are a bit strict. I don't want to go into the specifics because the committee is now going to go into the matter. But what the point I'm making is that we all have seen certain things on social media, and some of those rules are strict. You see, the painful side of it is that, yes, the figures may be small, but it's the same rule. You know how in Ghana, and I'm not prejudging, I've not mentioned what I've seen, but I'm just giving an example. You know how we talk about when somebody steals a goat, he gets convicted quickly, blah, blah, blah. So the point I'm making is that, yes, it's true that some of the things we've seen on social media, they may look like they look small, the figures look small, etc. But unfortunately, it's the same rule, whether the thing is 1 Ghana cedis or 200 million Ghana cedis. So based on certain things that I saw on social media, the surprise element went away, because the way those things were looking around, though, and thankfully, look, and to be very clear, it's not a petition I've seen. I've not seen any of the petitions, but we saw this excerpts of some audit reports, etc. And when you see sections, you look at the language, you try to look at the grammar, syntax, all those things, context, to find out whether this looks genuine or it's fake. And some of them looked genuine. And since then, it's not been rebutted. And even the MPP also, I left out the main point. The MPP in their press conference also gave some information that showed that they had seen some of these things. So when you put everything together, actually the surprise element, it's been gone for some days now.
Let's talk about the integrity of the process, part of which you've been speaking to about portions of these petitions and the conversations which have surrounded it up until this point. Would you say that based on what it is we've seen up until this point, the integrity of this entire process up until this determination by the Council of State in consultation, or the President in consultation with the Council of State in determining there's a Prima Facie case, that process has been safeguarded, would you say?
Absolutely, Martin. Absolutely. Look, listen, I want to say something that 10 years from today, I will be able to say the same thing. I think so far the process, the integrity has been safeguarded. You remember, I mentioned that what we saw, at least from what I saw, and which is going around on this in social media, it's an excerpt, or let's say excerpts of audit reports, not a part of the petition. I'm telling you for a fact that I haven't cited the petition.
Right.
And looking at, yes, so meaning that it's been safeguarded, because if a lawyer, at least somebody like me, interested in public interest, etc., the petition hasn't leaked to me, it tells you that the process is been safeguarded. It's been safeguarded.
Right.
So all I'm saying is that based on the report, that those excerpts, and then based on what the MPP revealed at their press conference, where they sought to cast insinuation and already saying the next Chief Justice will be a party sympathizer of the MPP, those unsavory things, that is what took away the element of surprise for me.
There are a number of questions that spring up off the top of my head in relation to the process now that we're getting into this 5-member committee. Even before a determination of a Prima Facie case could have been made, there was this heated debate as to whether or not the Chief Justice had a right to be heard in determining whether or not a Prima Facie case has been formed or has come up against her. She's provided her response. There are many who ask the question, wherein lies the rest of the process, where she's already provided her written responses to these allegations, and yet a determination has been made that there's a case for her to answer. Wherein lies the fact that she can't come out of this hole?
Yeah, so Martin, it's the nature of the process. That's the design. That's the way it's been designed. That, you see, let's repeat. The Prima Facie doesn't mean she's liable. It doesn't mean she's liable, or less in this context, for effective communication. The word guilty from criminal law. We are speaking ordinary English, so I'm not tied down by strict legal rules. So it doesn't mean she's guilty, but it's not a criminal case, but we can use the word guilty. It doesn't mean she's guilty. It just means that the allegations seem to be, if she doesn't give a proper answer, it can go against her. That's the meaning. In other words, the allegations are not frivolous. They've not been made up, but rather there are certain things that exist. And so now we need to go in further, because remember that you see, the allegations are on paper. She gave her response on paper. Okay, paper to paper. Now we need to go before the committee. You come and swear before the committee. You see, it's going to be examination. You see, they are going to do an inquiry. Even though we know people can lie on oath, etc., but they are going to a court proper. All I'm trying to say, one word is that come and repeat these things on oath. Look at your Bible and come and repeat these things. Look at you, come and take your Quran and repeat these things. You're a traditional worshiper. Okay, come and affirm and tell us that these things are true. So it's when you come and swear and say they are true. You, for now, let's leave out the fact that people can lie. Yeah, let's leave that out for now. There is still that solemnity that if you can hold your Bible promise that you say the truth and say it, then it gives it greater weight. Then they will ask you questions. So we want to solemnize the things. We want to come and repeat them on oath. Then they become weighty. You know how Ghanaians don't joke with our religion.
Right.
As to how we practice, it's a question for another day. So when we do that and the answers remain the same, nothing changes, then it can go against her. That okay, then you are guilty.
Right, Council, Mawena here, and I just want to ask one question before I bring in my colleague Joseph as well, who's here with me. That's in relation to the ongoing court processes, the injunction application, which had been adjourned to May 6th, and then the entirety of the application, which was seeking to have the Supreme Court now finally proclaim a direct way through which this entire process of the removal of the Chief Justice can go through. What happens first off to the injunction application now that we've seen the president reach this determination, and then the substantive case as well?
It means effectively the injunction application becomes smooth. I mean, I'm speaking practically. You see, I don't want to do legal. If we do too much legal, we will lose the public. Practically, once the president has gone ahead with the committee, now the Supreme Court will be slow from their own decisions in the past. Let's all remember the E-Levy one. E-Levy, even when, Oliver Bakavoma filed for contempt, the case was pending before the court, yet GRA and Akufo-Addo went ahead and started collecting the E-Levy where they promised millions of jobs. That never turned out to be true anyway. They went ahead. There are countless other cases that we can show. So what happens is that there is a rule. So in law, you hear to every rule, there is an exception. To every rule, there is an exception.
Right.
So generally, when it comes to the performance of public functions like this, then the court is slow to grant an injunction to stop the performance of a public function. The committee that has been set up, they are going to perform a public function. The work that the President and the Council of State have done, they are public functions. They are in Article 146 of the Constitution. So the courts are slow to do that. And you see, this same thing we are talking about, don't also forget, the law works in a certain context. Look, trust me, another petition, let's say, go into our future, a petition can happen tomorrow, and based on the public reaction, a president can stop. So let's know that sometimes it's not pure law, but it's also an amalgam, a totality of our reactions as citizens. The thing, if enough citizens had gotten up and started demonstrating that, President Mahama, please stop, let's finish the court case, yes, it would have happened. But once you don't have enough, because remember, and there's basis for it.
Right.
Because under Article 125 of our Constitution, it says that justice emanates from the people. So at every point in time, when the president is acting, and even the judges, etc., they also look at what the people think. So if the country was up in arms, saying that, no, President Mahama, please wait, he would have waited. I'm telling you, enough numbers. So it's not strict. Sometimes it depends on the reaction of society as well.
Right. Council, Blair comes in here right now, Joseph.
Yeah, Marina, thanks. And sorry for calling you Martin.
Sure. But Council, just hold for us. Let's try and just get viewers to understand, those who are joining us right now, what the breaking news is. And that breaking news is that President John Dramani Mahama has suspended the Chief Justice Gertrude Saba Torkono and subsequently formed a 5-member committee which is to investigate her for 3 petitions seeking her removal after the Council of State, along with the President, determined that there was indeed cases for her to answer in relation to these 3 petitions. We're going to a 5-member committee